Aqualse is a new technique, utilizes small bursts of warmed saline, each burst of only 4 microliters in size. Up to 50 bursts a second can be maneuvered and handled. The technique of doing with this unique device, which uses no ultrasound energy at all, is fairly simple and is interesting. Here we have taken a grade 3 cataract for your perusal. It is important that the rhexis should be perfect in all these cases, and the rhexis should be adequate in size. Minimum size which is required is 6 millimeters, since the Aqualse unit has to work in the middle. The opening which we utilize for Aqualse has to be a minimum of 3 millimeters, as the device does not at present fit through a smaller sized opening. We hydrodissect in such a manner that the edge of the lens stands up. We call this the lens salute technique. Once it is unable to stand up, the lens is rotated slightly and inserted back into the bag. It is not removed out of the bag. Notice the tip of the Aqualse. It's got a little silicone edge to it. It gives the liquid in the form of a spray. All you need to do is to gently move it like a wand over the surface of the lens, and it progressively goes on emulsifying the lens. Essentially, it is a warmed water and the high-speed jets which break the bonds between the nuclear fragments together and enable it to work so efficiently. The interesting part is that it has no ultrasound energy at all. It uses only the warmed saline, with the result that we are no longer worried if it may take a little longer, since the endothelium is never affected. As a matter of fact, the next day the corneas are pristine clear and sparkling, which is a hallmark of this procedure. Once you break the nuclear fragments down, you chop in an identical manner. What we normally do is essentially turn the fragments across and chop with a blunted chopper. Since there is no ultrasound energy, you have to feed the fragments in. If it was a grade 1 or a grade 2 cataract, it would move much faster. Doing a grade 3 cataract takes a little time, but it is always possible to do so with no great difficulty. And as you notice, the final fragments are now flowing inside, which is all that is required to be done. It takes a little time, but then the quality of the corneas you see the next day more than adequately repay for the extra time which is spent. It works nicely and smoothly with no real difficulty whatsoever. Notice the last fragments, even though they're comparatively hard, all you have to do is to gently feed them into the tip, and it progressively will go on removing the fragments piece by piece. This area, this section of the movie is literally left unedited, so that you have an opportunity of seeing exactly how this system works. The final fragment is then emulsified, or as one would say liquefied, because it's a liquefaction device and not an emulsification device. The final fragments are gently squeezed into the position. It's only a question of squeezing the little fragments in, and the suction takes over without too much of a difficulty or a problem. Finally, our last fragments are liquefied, or liquefacted as the word goes, and that's the end of the entire procedure. Interesting part about the Aqualse device is that because of the silicone polymer sleeve, you can move the sleeve over the surface and literally use it almost like an IA unit with no problems. Take the final fragments, move it on top, move it smoothly around. You can literally use it as an IA for the larger fragments. You may need to finally use an IA to clean the last few bits, but it becomes quite safe, can be moved over the capsule. Even if it holds the capsule for a few seconds, nothing breaks and nothing happens. Notice, after the Aqualse, because of the pulsed water pressure and the pulsations, the posterior capsule is always crystal clear. It is very, very clean. No little filaments visible, no granules, nothing. After that, you put in your regular lens. This is a Rayner lens which has been put into the eye, and center flex, and you just flop it into place, and the procedure is over. But the big advantage of Aqualse is two things. Number one, no ultrasound energy, leaves you beautiful corneas, and number two, it leaves you crystal clear posterior capsules, which do not opacify over a much longer period of time as compared to regular, and it works equally well on a grade 3 cataract. Thank you.